All right, let's take you now to Washington, D.C. That's where our correspondent, Sherwin Bryce-Pease, is standing by. Sherwin, over to you. We do understand, of course, that the president is expected to be briefed by ministers that are with him for that all-important meeting ahead with President Trump tomorrow.
We have now changed our location, Unati, to just outside the South African embassy here in Washington, D.C., where a famous bronze of Madiba, Nelson Mandela, was famously unveiled a few years ago. The president's, I can see the blue lights arriving first here. It's a bit of a fluid situation. We're trying to figure out which direction he's coming from, but he's coming from that side, Aaron, so turn your camera around. Let's go this way so I can get this angle right. And there we go. Live shots of the president of South Africa arriving here at the embassy in Washington, D.C. for a briefing, Unati, by his...
All right, of course, that's Sherwin Bryce.
It looks like that might actually be a different delegation going past. So a lot of confusion here.
Sherwin, we still hear you. We are still on air. I can hear you. Of course, this is an important meeting with President Cyril Ramaphosa, with those ministers that have accompanied him. We do, of course, know that the Minister of International Relations and Cooperation, Ronald Lamola, is part of that delegation, as well as the Minister Nchaveni, as well as the Minister, of course, Park Stau, Minister of Trade and Industry Competition, who's going to be very central ahead of those talks before with President Trump and President Cyril Ramaphosa. Of course, Minister of Agriculture, Steenhuisen, is also part of that delegation, as well as the Special Envoy to the United States of America, Mr. Jonas. Sherwin, if you can still hear me, of course, the president is then expected to be briefed by those ministers this afternoon ahead of that all-important meeting tomorrow.
Absolutely, and the ministers have already arrived here at South Africa's embassy. There's a fire truck just going to go past here. It's going to be a bit noisy, Unati, a very fluid situation. But we do see some blue lights arriving now. So you're quite right. The president is en route here to the embassy. I'm just going to walk around this way. The blue lights are coming from a different direction. We expect his entourage to come this way. That could be South Africa's president arriving here to the South African embassy. Let's stand by and see that. But as you correctly point out, he will be briefed by Minister Park Stau, by Ministers Lamola, Steenhuisen and Nchaveni, and of course the special envoy. But also they are having this meeting at the South African embassy to speak with local diplomats who are on the ground, who understand the lay of the land here in Washington, D.C., and really so that the president arrives at that meeting at the White House tomorrow well informed, ready, primed, and ready to engage. And of course, you know, we talk often about whether it's going to be within the AGOA framework or outside the AGOA framework. But very much a deal that needs to be, the beginnings of a deal that needs to start happening in terms of that Wednesday meeting. And then, of course, taking the relationship forward, the reset that the South African presidency has talked about. The presidency now pulling here into the parking lot at the South African embassy. Let's just listen in, Unati. Let's listen in. We'll maybe say hello, shout hello, maybe get a wave. Ronald Lamola right there, welcoming the president. Let's just take a listen and watch. Can we get a wave, Mr. President? Just a wave, Mr. President. Good to see you, sir.
Mr. President, say hi.
How are we? Well, how are you, sir? Are you excited? Are you excited? What are your expectations?
How are you feeling? You can come closer, Mr. President. We want to know. We told you you're confused.
We have managed to get the president to come say hello. Stand by.
What are you doing here? What are you doing here?
Hi, Mr. President. Good to see you.
Good
Welcome.
to see you. Are you well?
Welcome. Can I get a handshake?
Good to see you.
What are you most looking forward in terms of making a deal with President Trump?
Well, we get a handshake there.
Yes, you get a handshake.
Yes, Mr. President. And how are you ready for the handshake with Trump? What's going to be your icebreaker?
Well, we're always ready. We are hoping to have really good discussions with President Trump and his fellow government colleagues. I'm looking forward to a really good and positive meeting, and we're looking forward to a very good outcome for our country, for our people, for the jobs in our country, and good trade relations, and to normalize relations between our two countries.
The economic imperative is the most imperative, is it not, Mr. President? The economic imperative is the most important here.
Well, the trade relations are the most important. That's what has brought us here. We want to come out of the United States with a really good trade deal, investment promotion. We invest in the United States and they invest in us, and we want to strengthen those relations, and we want to consolidate good relations between our two countries. So I'm very positive. I'm looking forward to the discussions
South
we're going
African
to.
sovereignty, Mr. President, lots are concerned that maybe you'll be conceding too much to the likes of Trump, Elon Musk, Starlink. Is that on the table, Mr. President?
Well, we are a sovereign country, and we are a very proud nation, and we preserve our sovereignty, and we will always do what is best for South Africans.
Mr. President, pretty much here, long time no see. Mr. President, this meeting also happens when there's a geopolitical shift. America itself is starting to shift as far as Israel is concerned. What are your thoughts about that? South Africa has been lambasted for its position. Now you're seeing a change even this side of the world. Your thoughts about that and how that will influence the conversation?
Well, we are going to have an opportunity to discuss geopolitical issues, not only Israel, but also Ukraine. And so all these matters will be on the table for proper discussion. And we are very rational when it comes to discussing global and geopolitical matters. And we will put South Africa's interest first, and our own foreign policy positions will be well clarified. So fear not. We are going to have a really good
Being
meeting.
humiliated, Mr. President, a Zelensky moment. Cyril Ramaphosa, the man, is he prepared?
Well, South Africans are never humiliated, are they? South Africans always go into everything holding their heads high. So we are not...
You, Mr. President.
Me?
Yes. Are you prepared? Cyril Ramaphosa, the individual, the negotiator. Are you talking about gold?
Mr. President, I asked your spokesperson yesterday whose handicap is better, yours or Donald Trump's. I mean, this could come down to your personal relationship. Donald Trump is known to be a transactional president. He doesn't like to be beaten on the golf course either. Are you ready to navigate those waters?
I also don't like to be beaten on the golf course, so I play golf like he does. So maybe one day we'll have a good round of golf. Okay.
Thank you. All right, there you go. A little bit of an exclusive between ourselves and our colleagues from South Africa here. The president was on his way into the embassy for his briefing with ministers, but we managed to get him to come and talk to us, Unati, and you heard from the horse's mouth certainly a positive posture that we've been talking about all week. The South Africans feel very confident that this meeting is going to go well. The peripheral issues, the white Afrikaner issues, the resettlement issues among those conversations that possibly could come up. But the focus, as we've been talking about, is laser focused on trade, investment, and in building a rapport, right? It's going to be a rapport. You know, Donald Trump often talks about how he likes his counterpart. He thinks the counterpart is a good guy. Those are kind of the sentiments you are hoping for once that meeting concludes tomorrow. But going in now for a very detailed briefing with members of his team, members of his cabinet, the Lamolas, the Steenhuisens, the Nchabenis, the special envoy Steenhuisen from agriculture. So very much getting into the granular detail about what it is they want to achieve. You got a little bit of a sense there from President Ramaphosa, Unati.
Shawan, very quickly before I let you go, are we going to perhaps get a sense of what was discussed in that meeting before the ministers then eventually, just leave the president? When that meeting wraps up, essentially, that's what I'm asking. Do you think they will have some form of media briefing ahead of that meeting with Trump tomorrow? Or are we just going to have to wait for that meeting tomorrow?
The program is, it's a great question. The program is so fluid. We heard there might be a briefing possibly by the spokesperson. That is not being confirmed. But we will be speaking to a number of ministers on Face the Nation later tonight. That's between 8 and 9 p.m. South African time, about 2 p.m. Local time here. Our expectation is to speak to a number of ministers. It's difficult to confirm exactly who will be coming, but we do know Ronald Lamola will be there. We are talking to John Steenhuisen's people. Parks Tau, though, has indicated that he doesn't want to talk to the media before the meeting happens tomorrow, but we're working that relationship. Let me go and see what I can do so that we can get the best of the best when the time comes a bit later today.
Fantastic. Sherwin Bryce piece there for us at the South African Embassy in Washington, D.C. Of course, that important meeting with President Cyril Ramaphosa also comes following a meeting that Ministers Parks Tau as well as John Steenhuisen had with Ambassador Jameson as part of the working visit preparations ahead of President Cyril Ramaphosa as well as President Trump's meeting tomorrow. Of course, all eyes on that particular meeting happening now as the South African team gears up to meet with President Trump tomorrow.